Donald Trump has sharply criticized Ukrainian President Zelensky for saying that a deal to end the war with Russia remains, quote, very, very far away, end quote. In a post on Truth Social, Trump called it the worst statement Zelensky could have made and warned that, and I quote, America will not put up with it for much longer. End quote. The US president claimed that Zelensky doesn't want peace as long as he has American backing, accusing him of relying too heavily on US support. Trump also pointed to Europe's stance, saying they have admitted they cannot do the job without the US. He questioned their approach, asking, and I quote, what are they thinking? End quote. Zelensky made the comments while attending the Securing Our Future summit in London, where he met with European leaders to discuss military and financial aid for Ukraine. Zelensky also said, and I quote, I believe that Ukraine has a strong enough partnership with the US to continue receiving support. End quote. His remarks come amid growing uncertainty over US foreign policy, with Trump repeatedly expressing skepticism about continued aid to Ukraine. European leaders, meanwhile, are preparing for a scenario where they may have to take on a greater role in supporting Kyiv. German politician Friedrich Merz, widely seen as the country's next leader, expressed concern over recent developments in Washington. He suggested that last Friday's heated exchange between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office may not have been spontaneous, but rather a deliberate escalation. Merz warned that Europe must prepare to do much more for its own security in the coming years, while also stressing the importance of maintaining strong transatlantic ties. He said, and I quote, I would advocate doing everything to keep the Americans in Europe, end quote. With tensions rising and Trump signaling a shift in US policy, Ukraine and its European allies are bracing for what could be a major turning point in the war effort. Meanwhile, UK PM said Ukraine-US minerals deal is not enough of a security backstop. Listen in to what he had to say.
The mineral deal is not enough on its own, but can I just remind him, Russia is the aggressor. Zelensky is a war leader whose country has been invaded. And we should all be supporting him and not fawning over Putin.
Do you want them back?
I haven't seen reports of the US withdrawing support for Ukraine, and as I understand, that is not their position. I thank him for his support on this issue, although I was somewhat concerned that the SNP is continuing its suggestion that now is the time to abandon the nuclear deterrent. If ever there was a time to reaffirm support for the nuclear deterrent, it is now. We mustn't reduce our security and defence. I think it is a completely wrong-headed decision they should reconsider.
Derek Chwing.
The US and the UK have the closest of relationships. Our defence, our security, our intelligence are completely intertwined. No two countries are as close as our two countries, and it'd be a huge mistake at a time like this to suggest that any weakening of that link is the way forward for security and defence in Europe. Well, I thank him for the unity across the House, and he's absolutely right. It sends a message to those who want to challenge our values when they see this House united on either Ukraine or on defence spending. And we have to face this era with confidence and with unity across this House wherever we can. I'd invite him. It's been good to have him agreeing with me. We should do this more often.